Greetings and welcome to part 2 of our walkthrough for the capture the flag exercise known as Derpnstink. And when we left off, we were working with the John the Ripper utility to crack a couple of hash passwords, and we should have those by now. And the passwords, of course, were for the admin account, admin, and then for Stinky, or Uncle Stinky, it was Wedgie57. So we now have a good username and password to get us up inside of the WordPress site for the user Stinky. Now, to do this, we have to get over to the WordPress admin login page. So what I've done here is I've gone over to this derpnstink.local/weblog/wp-admin. That is the login for the WordPress administration site. Alright, so we're already there. I've typed in Uncle Stinky and the password Wedgie57. So let's go ahead and attempt to log in. And we have logged in. Now, we have control of this particular WordPress site, but we've already exported it, so we don't have to do much up here. But if we scroll down a little bit and look inside of the drafts, we get our next key. So we're done with the WordPress site. We can close that out. We're going to return over here to our Metapreter prompt. So we know now that we cannot access either of the mrderp or the Stinky directories. So what we're going to do is we're going to elevate this Metapreter prompt, and we're going to start the process by typing in shell, and that's going to change our prompt over just a little bit. And then we're going to elevate this over to a bash prompt by using that little bit of Python code that we've used in the past. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that on in there like so. I'm going to hit enter, and you'll notice that we now have a bash prompt. Now I'm still logged on as the www-data user. It's very limited, but I'm now going to change users over to Stinky because we have Stinky's password, so now I can log on. Using the su command, I'm going to change on over to the user Stinky. I want Stinky's password, which we know to be Wedgie57. Now you'll notice that my prompt changes to let me know that I'm now logged on as Stinky. We now have to get busy and start enumerating everything inside of this user's profile. To do this, we're first going to list the contents, and you'll see that we have two directories, mrderp and Stinky. So we're going to start off with Stinky, and I'm going to do a cd over to the Stinky directory. Now from here we're going to do another ls, and you'll notice we have a number of directories in here, starting with desktop, documents, downloads, and FTP. Working from left to right, we're going to enumerate all of these directories, and to do this we're going to start off with the desktop. So I'm going to type in cd desktop, and now I'm going to do an ls, and we have a flag. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to see the contents of our flag here by doing a cat command. And we're just going to do it flag.text, just like that. And there's your hash for our third flag. I need to roll back one level, and now I'm going to go into the documents. So I'm going to type in cd space document. And again, I will list the content. And in here we have a derpissues.pcap file, which must be opened up with a Wireshark utility. So we're going to remember this, that this is located up inside of the documents, and if we need to, we'll come back and we'll get it. Let's roll back one level, and now we're going to go into the downloads directory, and it is empty. So let's take a look at that FTP directory and see what's in there. So we're going to do a cd space roll back one level, and let's get into the FTP directory, and let's list the contents. And we have files, so let's do a cd, let's go into files. Now let's list the contents, and we have networking logs, ssh, test.txt, and the temp directory. Again, working from left to right, we need to enumerate everything that's inside of this user's profile. So let's get busy and start off with the network-logs directory. And I'm now going to do a ls, and we have a derpissues.txt. So let's go ahead and cat that out. and we had a message here. And if we read this, we can get some information about the PCAP file being of interest to us, because if we get inside of it, we're probably going to be able to find Mr. Derp's password, and that's going to allow us to use his account. Alright, so let's roll back one more time, and let's get into the SSH folder. And we're going to start looking at the contents. And what we have here are 7 SSH folders. So we're just going to start going through them until we get to the last one. And the last one will present us with a key.txt. So I got to the last SSH folder, and inside of this folder there is a key.txt. We're going to go ahead and cat this out. And this is Stinky's private key for his SSH login. So we're going to go ahead and manipulate this so that we can get access to the server using SSH, using Stinky's account. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy everything all the way down. We're going to right click, we're going to copy. We're now going to open up a terminal by right clicking and going to new window. Move this on over just a little bit. Again, we're going to change directories on over to our working folder. Once we're up inside of our working folder, we're going to create a new text file. And I'm just going to go ahead and use Nano as my text editor and type in Nano, and I'm going to type in stinky.key, just like that. I've now got a clean text file, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to paste the contents of that key into here. I'm now going to do a Control X, and I'm going to type in Y for yes, and I'm going to hit enter. And if we do an LS and show the contents of our working directory, you'll see that we now have a stinky.key. The next thing we have to do is change the permissions on the stinky.key file. So I've typed in chmod or chmod space 400 space the name of the file that I want to change these permissions on, which is stinky.key. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. It comes back letting me know that the command completed successfully. We're now ready to move on with attempting to log on to the server using SSH, using Stinky's private key that we copied over to our working folder. So I've typed in SSH space dash small letter I, and I'm telling it to use the stinky.key file to authenticate the user Stinky at 192.168.0.26, which is the IP address for the target. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and it tells me that, let's see, are you sure you want to continue connecting? I'll say yes, and we are in. And we are now able to use a more stable logon, which is the SSH, to continue on with trying to exploit this target. So even though we are logged on to the server using SSH, we don't know what the level of permission Stinky has. To find this out, we're going to use the su command space dash small letter L. And let's see what's going on with his permissions. And his password, and let's see what he has. Authentication failure. That means that he's not authorized to do a whole lot. So Stinky is not authorized to use the su command, is what it's telling us. So we're going to have to figure out how we can escalate and improve his permissions, or at least improve our access. Our next move is to copy over the PCAP file to our host machine. To do this, I'm going to copy and paste the following command in, scp space dash I, stinky.key, stinky at 192.168.0.26. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit enter and see what happens. And the file was copied over to my temp directory. So now I got to go up and get it. So I'm going to go up in here inside of my other locations, computer, there's my temp folder, and there's my derp issues. Now I'm going to right click on this. I'm just going to move this on over to my working directory, and we'll just say select, and it's moved. Now I can go ahead and open this up, and you'll see that I have the derpissues.pcap file in here. Now once we have this PCAP file copied over correctly, we're going to right click on it, and we're going to say open with Wireshark. Once you have the PCAP file opened up inside of Wireshark, you're going to scroll on down to come to entry 5598. You're going to highlight that. You're going to right click, and then you're going to select follow TCP stream. And in here you will be able to find the password for mrderp. And there it is right there. So there's the password for mrderp, and now we're going to log on as mrderp, and we're going to see what permissions he has. We can go ahead and close out the Wireshark. We don't need that anymore. So now that we have mrderp's password, we can log on as mrderp. So let's go ahead and try that. So I'm going to go over here to my SSH, and I'm going to type in su mrderp, and what's the password. I'm going to type that big long password in there. Alright, now I'm logged on as mrderp. Alright, so let's do a cd back to his root folder, and now we need to find out exactly what permissions he has. To do this, we're going to type in sudo space dash small letter L, and again it wants that password for mrderp. Again, I'm going to right click and paste it on in there, and we get this information here that our user can run any command that is contained within the directory /home /mrderp /binaries and starts with the string derby. So if we run a sudo command anywhere inside of this binaries folder with a file that has the name derby, then we will be able to execute whatever root commands we want to execute. So this binaries folder has to be up inside of the mrderp directory, up inside of his home folder. So we're going to go there. We're going to do a cd space /home /mrderp, hit enter, and we're already there. So now we're going to make a directory called binaries. So I'm going to go ahead and right click in here and paste that. So now we're going to make that directory called binaries that's going to be up here inside of this home directory, inside of the subfolder mrderp. Go ahead and hit enter. The file already exists. Well, it does exist because I've already done this walkthrough about 4 times. So that's already a given. Alright, so I've already got the directory up there for the binaries. Now we have to do this sh file, this script, and it's called derby.sh. Alright, and then we're going to change the permissions on over so that we could run this, and we did it. Alright, so I'm now going to go in and I'm going to type in sudo space period /binaries /derpy.sh, hit enter, and you saw my prompt change over to the root. Now I'm going to do another cd /root, and we're now inside of that folder. And if I do an ls to show the contents, we have desktops, documents, and downloads. And again, we still have to enumerate. We're not done there yet. Alright, so now let's do an ls, look at the permissions here, and let's do a small letter L and get the permissions for these 3 different directories. Alright, so now we're going to change directory on over to the desktop, and we're going to do an ls, and now we have our final flag. Alright, so I can go ahead and cat this out, and there's the congratulatory message, and of course we get that hash for the flag. Of all the capture the flag exercises I've done recently, this one here was probably the most interesting. It had a lot of twists and turns in it, and I learned a few things, so that was good. And that concludes this short video presentation on capture the flag and the walkthrough we did for Derpnstink. If you have any questions or concerns about the information or the content of this exercise, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact your instructor, and I'll see you in my next video.